Boys, potentially pretentious ingredient number 1 is under the cloche.
It's got a large viscosity.
And a heavy shine.
Does it smell?
Yes, it smells instantly very treacly, caramelised, sweet a little bit, but actually more. Oh, I'd be careful if I were you.
I'm not going in for all of that.
So today we have 4 ingredients that could potentially be pretentious that we're getting in front of our chef Ben and our normal Jamie to get their thoughts on and to decide whether these are pretentious or not.
Oh, coffee.
Yeah, by smell alone, I was thinking charred spice. And when you taste it, coffee spread.
This is No Normal Coffee, which is a coffee paste that comes in a resealable aluminium tube that when mixed with hot water dissolves and gives you the perfect cup of coffee.
It's definitely the dark roast, which is what we were saying. It's got that heavy roast, very bitter. But then obviously we tried it without diluting it. I wonder what the suggested ratios are. 5 grams, so a level teaspoon, to 100 mil of hot water.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, properly.
So 1 tube is said to provide 25 small or 15 larger coffees, and it can be stored unrefrigerated. So when looking at all of their marketing and the website, it's all aimed for people who want a cup of coffee whilst outdoors or camping, etc., and just have hot water.
Cheers.
Are you getting a strong and rich roasted profile with delicious notes of chocolate, nuts, and a little caramel?
Yes. Yeah. All of those things.
Yeah.
Has it got a sweetener in it? Because that to me tastes like I've had half a sugar in my coffee.
Paste with coffee extract, sweetened.
Yeah. So you need to like sweet coffee, and that's where I'm getting the fruity caramelly notes, because I think it's added sugar to draw out the natural flavours you get from that kind of almost tobacco-esque coffee.
Yeah.
Do you imagine a scenario where it could be useful for either you or others?
The thing is, there's quite a few different ways of making good coffee on the go now. Things like the AeroPress are really big for camping because they're so compact and you don't really need much equipment and you get good coffee out of it.
But you do
I think Evans has just demonstrated a counter argument.
I think I agree, and I think there's really good quality. And if you're out, in fact, there's some kind of social accounts that just sit in the most beautiful places in the world and just take time to make good coffee, and they're fascinating to watch and mesmerising to watch. But they all need a fair bit of equipment and a fair bit of stuff, whether it's beans or grounds, and you end up with mess and grounds to get rid of. Whereas that, I can't think of a more convenient way to make tasty coffee. The only thing is, it would put you off if you don't like sugar in your coffee.
For me, it sits in between the instant coffee and the ground coffee world in terms of taste. And so therefore it does quite a good job.
So they also say you can also enjoy it straight from the tube with a banana or a piece of bread for an extra caffeine kick.
And with the sweetness of a morning bun, it's lovely.
I think he said morning bun.
Right.
But he knows what he was doing.
He does know what he was doing.
The more I think about it, the more I like it. And now this is the chef inside me thinking, it would also be nice just squeezed into a number of stews and casseroles to give you that savoury kind of chili con carne, kind of mole, to give that little bit of coffee tang, and dissolves completely without leaving grounds, but is a good quality coffee.
Imagine that in an espresso martini of sorts.
So the company are Swiss, and they pride themselves on sustainable production and also sourcing sustainable ingredients in the production. How much do you think we paid for that tube of 25 small, 15 large, instant, no normal coffees?
I reckon £10.
I reckon twice that.
This comes out at £13.43. What are your thoughts?
It's by far the cheapest, nicest coffee you're going to have on a mountainside.
That's a really innovative way of doing it. It's still far cheaper than buying 20 coffees if you're in a coffee shop.
Well, I think we know the answer to this, but no normal coffee, pretentious or not?
I don't think it's pretentious. I think it's really innovative. It's delivering coffee in a very different way than we've had it before.
I'm going to be honest, I'd forgotten the video we were in to read the title. I was thinking it was a food trend and very cool and innovative. Is it pretentious? Yes. Is it cool? Yes. Do I want some? Yes.
What a start. Shall we move on to number 2?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Number 2, lads. Give it a lift.
Oh.
Yay!
Ooh, again, more viscous than it looked at first sight. Still with a heavy gloss.
I'd say it smells a bit beery.
It looks sweet and glossy, but smells acidic. It reminds me of the shrubs that we were talking about, that kind of sweet vinegars. Oh, wow.
Very sweet.
I take it back on the acidity sour. It's not, but it is fresh and citrusy and floral, and that's what I was sniffing. It feels very foraged.
Ebbers. It's bang on it today.
It's like a really loose honey, like very floral honey, more down the syrup.
Yeah, and I think I'm getting wood. I think it's like, do you remember the birch sap?
We are. This is great.
But hey, do you remember the birch sap we did years ago? It's like maple syrup that hasn't come from a maple tree. It's come, I'm guessing, from some other plant or tree.
Have you heard of Mugolio?
No.
No.
This is pine cone bud syrup. This is created by forager Eleonora Cunaccia in the heart of the Dolomite Alps in Italy. And she's one of the few residents who has permission to gather young buds of the Mugo pine in early May, and then she macerates the pine buds in water and sugar, and then once it's filtered, the resulting syrup is cooked and reduced down with a little bit of extra sugar until it's thick and dark brown, and you're left with that.
So made in a very different way to a maple syrup or a birch sap.
You're not plugging
You're
the tree.
infusing sugar syrup and then reducing it down.
And you're getting all those characteristics from pine cone buds. How do you imagine using it? There are some suggestions here.
I mean, I don't want to be a basic individual, but that over a decent vanilla ice cream would be simple and delicious enough.
Tick, gelato, panna cottas, yogurts, roasted fruit, pork roasts,
Yeah.
grilled chicken,
Yeah.
and very ripe cheeses. So you have a cheese board and stone fruit yogurt.
I mean, that already looks delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, should we just drizzle?
Yeah, I think we just drizzle.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I mean, that was already a delicious plate of food.
Yeah.
But it brings everything together. In terms of relating it back to something we have all heard of, it's just something foraged and floral or botanical or woody that's infused into sugar syrup. And it's so delicious, but in that sense, quite simple. But it's its simplicity that means it lends itself to so many different things.
James Beard award-winning chef Alan Burgo described it as a bit of a chef's secret and one of the most expensive ingredients he's purchased as a chef. And it's still only available through elite specialty distributors. So, lucky you. Thank you, Mike. You're welcome. There's the bottle.
Mugolio.
And there's actually a Romanian recipe which is quite similar, which requires burying a jar of pine cones and sugar, and then you leave them underground for a year before digging them up, which is quite cool as well.
Nice.
Would we like to discuss price?
See, a little goes a long way when you're eating on a spoon, but you never do that. And therefore, when you drizzle it over a salad,
You use quite a bit of it.
you use a good bit of it.
£60 for that bottle.
Oh my goodness, no, surely not. I was going to say 45 and I thought that was steep.
£19.63 when we convert.
I need to book some annual leave next May.
You're going to the Dolomites?
Yeah. I reckon I'm going to come back with that sort of stuff.
I really like it. I don't know if I'm getting more enjoyment out of it on a flavour basis. It's the story that is making it far more interesting.
I've lost count, but we must have done dozens of pretentious ingredient episodes, and therefore, as a foodie, I am always excited and thrilled when we find something new that we've not heard of before that is also delicious. So for me, it ticks all of those boxes, and I love it.
But does it tick the pretentious ingredient box?
No, for this one, I don't think it's pretentious. I think it's exclusive and rare and beautiful, but not pretentious.
It is 100% pretentious.
Love a split decision.
And I'll base that on the fact that we both said it was delicious, and then when you told Ebbers the story, he said that he liked it even more.
And he was getting wood.
And he was getting wood. Pretentious wood.
Number 3, boys, lift the cloche.
Ooh.
So many small bowls today.
What are we dealing with?
Some dried petals.
Leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what that is. broadly.
We know what that is.
I think it's tea.
It is tea. Now, we've done a few teas in Pretentious ingredients before, but why do you think we'd be focusing on this specifically? Any clues?
A particularly rare type of tea?
We could call this a first. This is Tregethnan single estate tea.
Ah, I do know.
It's the first commercial tea grown on British soil. Why would that be impressive?
Because we don't typically have a climate for tea growing, which is why places like Darjeeling are perfect for it. However, and now you've told me the name of it, about a year ago I was there. It's not far from Truro. It's a Cornish estate.
Yep.
And they have an incredible microclimate down there, which means they can grow tea.
And they often enjoy warmer climates than areas of India, which makes it perfect for growing the Camellia sinensis leaves, which is what this tea is.
So is this a knock-on effect of climate change?
There is a specific microclimate in Cornwall.
Okay.
So in a very specific area, it is hotter than anywhere else in the surrounding areas.
But it's not even just heat, is it? It's the right humidity, it's the right amount of sunshine. It just captures the perfect for that particular plant. But I think you're right, because I've also been to some botanical gardens on the Isle of Wight and places like Kew Garden that are doing amazing things to think about if the climate continues to change and if temperatures increase, what plants might we be growing in the UK or needing to grow in 5, 10 or 50 years' time?
Jay, you've got a lovely little moustache-protecting antique kitchen gadget cup there. So Tregethnan started growing their tea in 1999, and after 6 years of growth and cultivation, then began selling it.
So I think when I was there, they did some blends that were a blend of tea that included some of their tea, but basically bulked out with tea grown in other places. If this is 100% that tea, then we're probably on for a steep price.
It is 100% the Camellia sinensis leaf.
So I did a quick wash first.
You're such a pro, Ebbers.
Quickly hydrate, get rid of any of the dusty particles and the outsidey bits, and then a slower infuse with the occasional jiggle.
Do we know what kind of tea this is similar to?
So all tea is Camellia sinensis, but it changes depending on where it's grown.
So there is one tea plant.
This is the source of all tea. Oh, it's looking good, Ebbers. Serving suggestions? Nothing but the tea. Do not sweeten it. Do not put milk in it.
I mean, they called it on the tin, a delicious, light and rewarding real Cornish tea for connoisseurs. Re-infuse the leaves with soft, freshly boiled water which has been left to cool.
Boys, what are you saying? Ebbers, thoughts?
I bloody love it. And I don't know why I don't drink more tea like this.
You're a proper coffee
home.
drinker, aren't you?
I'm a coffee drinker. If I do occasionally have tea, it's always with milk, and it's not as elegant as this, and yet that is a delicious, delicious drink.
I'm exactly the same. I never have fresh tea like
loose leaf tea.
Yeah, never have it. But I do quite enjoy it. It adds something, doesn't it?
Knowing the story and trusting where it's come from puts it on a pedestal.
Oh, that could lead nicely to the question I ask you at the end. How much do you think we paid for 11 grams?
It's easily a tenner.
Yeah, I had £10 in my head.
What if I were to times your answer by 5? £50.
Goodness me.
That's £4.54 per gram.
I remember now why I didn't buy some when I was there. It's so much, but we're talking about a head gardener who's been nurturing this for 6 years, who's probably paid more than those who grow tea elsewhere in the world. It's a lot, but it's special.
It's an experience that you get far more of because of the story. Knowing that it's come from the UK, it's the first UK. All of that adds up to psychologically make it taste better. But
is it pretentious?
No, I'm going to use another word. It's pioneering.
That was the last one. Pioneer cones.
Based on the logic that I used for number 2, which was the story made it taste better, yes, it is pretentious.
I think the word pretentious, when thought about in other regions of the world, pictures a Brit drinking tea in an estate. Pioneering and pretentious. Lovely, another split. Are you ready for number 4? It is, spoiler, phenomenal.
Oh.
Our final, potentially pretentious ingredient. Give it a lift.
It's like a hard bandage. I mean, part of me feels like it's a woven angel hair pasta noodle type thing.
It is so fine, as in a single strand before it gets, as you say, sort of woven or laid over each other, that I don't believe it could be human made.
Boys, this is su filandeyu pasta, said to be the rarest pasta in the world.
Made by Sue, Phil, and who?
And Deyu.
Deyu, right.
Until recently, only 3 people on the planet were making it, or could make it. Sue,
So
Phil,
kind.
and Deyu. I don't think they were called Sue, Phil, and Deyu. And it's a very specific pastoral tradition in Sardinia.
Why am I eating it? It's raw pasta.
And the process is amazing. So it's a durum flour, water, little bit of salt, pasta dough, and it's rolled out, and they use a salt brine on their hands, which helps with the elasticity and to stop it sticking. And they basically take it, fold it over, stretch it, take it, fold it over, stretch it. And every time they stretch, you get multiples of little strands. 256 individual strands from the final pull, specifically. And then they take those strands and they lay them over a large disc to dry in the sun. So they lay them out this way, then they do more, and they lay them out that way, and then you're left with big old chunks like this.
Wow.
A huge cylindrical disc, but we've managed to get hold of some that's obviously been broken up, packaged and sent.
Wow. Aren't humans amazing?
Su Filandeyu may or may not be the 3 people who can make it, but it also translates to threads of God. Would you like to cook it in the use of a dish?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you meant make the pasta. I was like, nope.
That would be cool. Actually, so many people have gone to learn from the few people who can make this and failed, Jamie Oliver being one of them.
And to be fair, he's made an awful lot of pasta in his time, and he was taught by the greatest man of all time, Gennaro.
Why is he so good at cooking? Why am I so good at cooking? Okay, so you have some pecorino cheese and you have a mutton broth. So the traditional recipe is to break the su filandeyu up into shards quite similar to the ones you revealed, and you cook it in the broth for 3 minutes, chuck in the pecorino, and then spoon it out and eat it.
Pecorino all into the broth.
Yeah, all in
Amazing.
together.
Mutton is an interesting option, and I guess kind of now makes sense of Sardinia. It's about as close to North Africa as it is to Italy. So those kind of lamb, mutton influences stand strong.
The recipe originated in Nuoro, produced by a single family. There's actually been companies who have visited Nuoro, tried to learn how to make it so that it could be replicated in a machine, and they failed. Lovely. So it's not going to separate, it's literally going to cook as
And
shards.
stay, yeah.
Off the heat. I mean, the mutton broth alone smells phenomenal.
Bit of pecorino on top, and that is a 300-year-old recipe right in front of your eyes.
Cheers. 2 things. I could bathe in that broth. It's so rich. I'm gonna say lamby, but definitely muttony, wonderfully wholesome. And then the texture of that pasta.
Can you describe it?
If I hadn't heard the explanation in the story, I'd say it's a mistake because it's so unique and I've never had it before, and it feels like it shouldn't exist. Knowing that it is the only one like it and so rare and 300 years old, I love it.
It's like a web of pasta. Essentially is exactly,
Pasta web.
it's like a pasta web. Incredibly thin strands, but they're all woven together so that the texture is lots of little bits, but all stuck together. I'm trying to think what other type of pasta I would have in place of this in the same dish.
All tagliati, I think that's what it's called, is the one that it reminds me of, which is once you finish making all your pasta shapes, whatever they are, all the scraps that are poorly made end up in the broth, and it's delicious because they're all different shapes and sizes and they all cook slightly different, and some of them are folded over each other, so there's chewy bits and there's really fine bits. But that is very much the scraps, which is unfair on this, which is the most exquisite formation of pasta.
Well, boys, let's talk price. We were able to ship over 1 kilogram of this stuff to the office. How much do you think we paid for the kilo?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was £40 a kilo, which for flour and water is an awful lot. That's like saying a bit of paint in a canvas is going to cost you thousands of pounds. Well, it depends who the artist is.
Exactly, yeah.
I had £30 in my head.
£54. So enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely enjoy
I
that.
very much am. It's delicious.
But the question is it pretentious or not?
I just don't know if I can offend 300 years of tradition with a word that I think in general circulation is derogatory. Like, pretentious is generally a bad thing.
I use it as a celebration.
I think this is pretentious, but I think it's in the most wonderful way. Or another P word, phenomenal.
It's pretentious, but in such a great way, and I'm really glad that it exists.
I love that 50% of our pretentious ingredients today have been Italian. What does that tell you?
Well, comment below, what does that tell you? Let's cancel Ben in one big collective. Come on, Italy, let's get going. Also, like the video if you enjoyed this video.